Today's vintage advice comes from the Miss Manners Guide to Excruciatingly Correct Behavior. Today's theme is weddings. Dear Miss Manners, my 18-year-old granddaughter, who will be 19 at the time of her wedding, really wants me to be matron of honor. I am 67 and will be 68 at wedding time. I'm also very fat and short. I will lose some weight by then, but I can't slim down all that much as I would look uglier than fat. I believe the groom will go along with her. My question, what is proper in this case? She does have a 14-year-old sister who will be bridesmaid and does not wish to be the maid of honor. We will appreciate your opinion. Well, gentle reader, Miss Manners' opinion is that it will be a charming wedding and an unusually good marriage too. Judging from the value of the bridal couple, people who understand that there are qualities more worth honoring than youth and beauty will probably achieve the happiness that they deserve. Dear Miss Manners, now don't get me wrong, I really am a very proper person, so forgive me, Miss Manners, if my voice becomes shrill as I tell you this story. My roommate was engaged to be married a year ago and asked me to be her bridesmaid. I tried my best, Miss Manners, really, I did. For an entire year, I chauffeured her around to photographers, addressed invitations, and planned menus. Are salmon toast suitable for a 3 o'clock reception, or is it more fashionable to have pink cottage cheese molded into the shape of a lamb? I was forced to buy a hideous red bridesmaid's dress trimmed with cotton strawberries for $85. Red shoes to match for $35. And in July, I spent $25 on a bridal shower after I found her copy of Emily Post tactfully left open on the page, which stated that this was my social obligation. But I drew the line when she told me to buy 4 pink plastic midget carnations for my hair at $18 a pair. No, I said, and stood my ground. No. She was incredulous. Hadn't I agreed to be her bridesmaid? Didn't I understand that it was her inalienable right to deplete my bank account of its entire contents to render me poverty-stricken in the name of propriety? Tell me, Miss Manners, did I behave badly? I fear that I'm unfit for polite society. Gentle reader, or vice versa, Miss Manners congratulates you on your social fortitude. Miss Manners herself would have cracked before you did, at the pink cottage cheese to be exact. Dear Miss Manners, what are the proper presents to give bridesmaids and my fiancé's ushers? Is something so untraditional as a good book, different books for each of course, according to their tastes, all right instead of things like bracelets and cufflinks they may never use? Well, gentle reader, are you trying to give these people something they might enjoy, or are you trying to do the proper thing by them? Books, at best, are only read but useless. Monogrammed silver objects that cannot be returned serve to remind one of the occasion of their presentation every time one sees them tarnishing away unused. Cufflinks and bracelets are all right, since everyone has too many of them, but silver golf tees or toothpaste tube squeezers are ideal. Dear Miss Manners, most wedding cakes are so vulgar with all the overly fancy trimming, and I would prefer to have a perfectly plain cake. My fiancé, who generally has very good taste and who agrees with me about keeping the rest of the wedding simple, says that would look cheap and wants one of those several-tiered monstrosities. She has forgotten that she once told me a story about being a flower girl and looking up at her cousin's cake, which had a bride and groom on the top, and probably that's what she really wants, but she's ashamed to admit it. This is a really dumb argument, but makes me wonder what else she is keeping from me in the way of secret ickiness. Gentle reader, who are you? The Mies van der Rohe of the pastry shop? Wedding cakes are supposed to be vulgar. Go buy yourself a donut to satisfy your aesthetic sense and let her have that wedding cake. Dear Miss Manners, I am a 20-year-old female who has never been married before, and I am planning to be married soon. I was wondering, is it proper to wear an all-white wedding dress with all the trimmings? I know that is supposed to signify purity, but like most of the population, I am not a virgin. Is this the proper way in this day and age? Gentle reader, is what proper? not being a virgin. What is most improper, in Miss Manners' opinion, what is in fact indecent, is the wildly held notion that the wedding dress is supposed to reveal all to the world the condition of the bridal body inside. If that is the object, one might as well wear a see-through dress. Here is the correct bridal color code, or the wedding guest's guide to identifying brides by their plumage. However, as you point out, bridal conventions are sometimes disregarded by some or most of the population. Brides come in two models: young and or inexperienced, and mature or experienced. The former wears white, while the latter something more subtle or befitting her station or more sophisticated. The experience referred to is not the one you and so many others assume. It is marriage. If you do not believe that marriage is an experience in itself above and beyond lovemaking, well, then you should be wearing white, because you have just proved how pure and innocent you are. The effect of the white dress should be fresh and sweet, an effect that is not usually what women who are older and wiser want to project. The difference is what makes people cry at first weddings and smile at subsequent ones, smiles being infinitely more complicated than tears. Dear Miss Manners, do I have to wear my glasses at my wedding? I can't see without them and have never been able to tolerate contact lenses, but I think I would look prettier without them, and they seem inappropriate with the wedding veil and cap I am planning to wear. Is it all right to look different on that one day? Gentle reader, if your fiancé does not recognize you without your glasses, and you cannot identify your fiancé without your glasses, it seems to Miss Manners that you are running a dangerous risk. If members of the bridal party promise to guide you properly through the ceremony, you might chance it. Miss Manners advises putting the glasses back on for the reception. It's one thing not to recognize one's new husband, but it would be rude not to be able to recognize one's old friends. Dear Miss Manners, June used to be the traditional time for weddings, but customs are so different now. Is there any preferred date for weddings in modern life? Gentle reader, it is preferable to hold them after the divorce and before the birth of the baby. Dear Miss Manners, how many weeks or days in advance should you mail your wedding invitations or hand deliver them? Exactly what are the bride-to-be's responsibilities for wedding expenses? Gentle reader, wedding invitations should be mailed 3 or 4 weeks before the wedding is to take place. This gives people time to worry about what they're going to wear and how much you will expect them to spend on a wedding present. Any more time is unwise, as it will enable them to speculate on whether the wedding will actually come off. In theory, the bride has no responsibilities other than showing up and looking radiant, and no expenses because they're being met by the bridegroom: the license, the ring, the flowers, and the clergyman's fees, or being taken care of by the bride's parents who give the wedding. In practice, though, she had better be prepared to help them all if she does not want her parents to wash their hands of her before they give her away. Dear Miss Manners, my niece is getting married next month in a long white dress after living with the man 3 years and having 2 children. Do you think this is proper? One little girl will be a flower girl, having a reception afterward too. Gentle reader, this event comes under a particular category of proper known as high time. In this area, there is no time for quibbling over dresses or other accessories. Go and wish the couple joy. You cannot accuse them of rushing into matrimony without due consideration. Dear Miss Manners, how does one get married after living together for more than 2 years? My fiancé and I feel that a traditional wedding would be tacky. Actually, we'd just like to slip off and get married privately and let people know later. However, that ignores the people for whom the wedding seems to be designed, the parents and other relatives. Have you any suggestions that might help the planning? Gentle reader, you will not take it amiss, Miss Manners hopes, if she emits a small giggle over the modern world. You are confident that living together is respectable, but afraid that the wedding might be tacky. The tackiest thing about any wedding, in Miss Manners' opinion, is very traditional. That is the assumption that the bride doesn't know exactly what's going to happen later. People have been chuckling over this for centuries and feel disappointed when they know it isn't true. Otherwise, there is nothing in a public wedding that is inappropriate to the marriage of a well-acquainted couple. Dear Miss Manners, Our daughter is being married soon in a formal ceremony, although she is only too obviously, I am afraid, pregnant. It's a long story, and perhaps you'll think her father and I are wrong to allow such a public wedding when everyone knows this situation, but it is what she wants. Anyway, my concern is that people do not laugh at us. She says it's nothing to her friends, but her father's and mine are still not used to such things. For instance, wouldn't people think it's ridiculous for us to throw rice at the bridal couple, symbolizing fertility, when everyone will be able to see that that has already been assured? Gentle reader. You could throw minute rice, symbolizing that things are happening any minute now. Miss Manners prefers the paella or pilaf approach. The more good things in your symbolism, the better, but don't examine it too closely. Dear Miss Manners, my daughter and her fiancé do not wish to invite anyone under the age of 16 to their wedding reception. Is there any polite way to express their feelings to family and friends without causing any hard feelings? Gentle reader. There is no polite way to issue negative invitations. Neither is there a polite way to accept invitations that have not been issued. Address your invitations to the adults who you wish to invite without mentioning their children. If they inquire whether they may bring the children, explain your policy. Miss Manners hopes you appreciate the difference between committing a social error yourself and merely responding to someone else's error. Dear Miss Manners, I have heard that it is wrong to say congratulations to the bride, that you can say that to the bridegroom, but are supposed to say best wishes to the bride. Why is that? Gentle reader. Because of inequality in the marriage laws. Dear Miss Manners, my friend's daughter is getting married in a few months. I had heard that mothers of the bride and groom should not wear white or black to the wedding, but I thought that rule went out with white signifies virginity. Anyway, the bride's family is all upset because the groom's mother is wearing white. I also had intentions of wearing white. My friends and I would like to know the restrictions, if any, on black and white worn by the mothers of the bride and groom. Also, should guests follow the same rule? Gentle reader. The mother of the bridegroom should not wear white to the wedding, whether she is a virgin or not. Neither should any of the guests. Nor should any of the mother of guests wear black. This rule, too, is unrelated to physical characteristics that are none of anybody's business. Black signifies mourning. No woman should show up to a wedding at which she is neither the bride nor a mourner wearing white or black. Those in deep mourning should not attend weddings. Those in second mourning may wear beige, gray, or lavender. Dear Miss Manners, if I bring a wedding present to the reception, shouldn't the bride open it in front of me? I've had presents pushed aside, which hurt me. I choose things carefully and would like to see the pleasure on their faces. Gentle reader, please don't bring presents to a wedding or wedding reception. Please. Let us stamp out this unfortunate practice. For one thing, the bride and bridegroom cannot take the time from their guests to open presents. For another, they, or their parents, must then figure out how to get the presents home or carry it with them on their honeymoon. For still another, the pleasure on their faces at, let us say, receiving their fourth crockpot is best enjoyed in privacy. Dear Miss Manners, my fiancé's parents have offered to give us a large wedding with all the trimmings, but they are agreeable to going along with the small, simple one that we really prefer. Is there any delicate way we can suggest that we could really use the several $1,000s they were willing to spend on us, but now don't have to? I say we, but the truth is I first need a delicate way to suggest it to my bride. Gentle reader, it is not a very delicate idea, is it? If Miss Manners were to invite you to a dinner, would you ask her to send you the grocery money instead and then pride yourself on having saved her the trouble of preparation? Often, parents will state frankly the limits of their resources and ask the bridal couple whether the money should be spent on the wedding or on a present, which sometimes is the money. But it is quite another thing to have such a suggestion made by the hopeful recipients. Dear Miss Manners, I am soon getting married and will be sending wedding invitations to a lot of out-of-town relatives. Would it be proper to enclose a card stating my patterns that I have picked out in china, crystal, silver, etc.? If this is proper and not too aggressive, how can I word the card and not appear too forward? Gentle reader, any indication that you make a connection between wanting certain people at your wedding and expecting presents from them is improper. Dear Miss Manners, I enclose here within the text of a recently received thank you note and wonder what you think of this bride's forthcoming frankness. Dear friends, thank you so much for the beautiful vase. Unfortunately, it was the 7th one that we received, so we did want you to know, and we hope you won't mind, that we exchanged it in order to complete our china pattern. We send our love to you. Gentle reader, it isn't the bride's frankness that worries Miss Manners. It's her brain. If one has 7 vases, it should not be difficult to figure out how to exchange 6 of them while letting the 7th represent to each of the 7 donors the one that was kept. Miss Manners hopes that this couple is not planning to have children. What is your modern day advice to these vintage problems?